Well, it's the holidays once again, and instead of letting me have a nice little vacation, people like challenging me. So, here we go with another round of the Wing It Recipe Challenge, where people give me vague instructions for a recipe and I have to figure it out as I go. Now, the thing about magic bars is we've actually done them before last holiday season, but with a little bit of a Gelt coin twist. This recipe does things a little bit differently though, and I thought of some fun theming to make it a little bit different and a little bit more festive. So warm up that oven, pop in that copy of A Muppet Christmas Carol, and let's get to caroling. Unlike our Gelt magic bars, this vague recipe apparently is looking for some sort of graham cracker crust. Now, I don't know about you, dear viewer, with your tall and stately antlers, but I think a graham cracker crust requires some melted butter and maybe a little bit of seasoning, so let's make it festive and gingerbready-ish almost. We'll start with 2 packages of graham crackers and a stick of melted butter, which will be crushed and mixed together with a teaspoon each of ginger, nutmeg, cloves, and a tablespoon of cinnamon. And so immediately we are pulling into the holiday station on board the Polar Express. This now seems like as good a time as any to press and seal the crust down into our 9x13 inch baking pan, which has been greased, and honestly you could throw some parchment down in there too if you really don't want this biz to stick. It is gonna get sticky, trust me. Now, this recipe doesn't state any form of blind baking, so I am just gonna toss this into the fridge so it can firm up for the next 30 or so minutes, and we can move on with our lives. Now for the sort of bread and butter of this not bread and butter recipe. This is the creative cream of the culinary crop, so to speak. Definitely chocolate needs to be featured, so bookmark that. But I'm thinking we take this down like a cherry cordial avenue. First I'm going to drain these cherries and start picking out the stems. Why cherry cordial flavor, you ask? See, my dad every year in his Christmas stocking gets a big old package of cherry cordials. My father-in-law apparently has also done this same thing for many, many years. I don't know why this is a thing in my life, but it is. Also, if we're being honest, I don't really like maraschino cherries that much, but I do think this will be fun, and it's definitely different, and it's definitely going to work. So, well, that's what we're going to do. Alright, that's looking pretty good, so let's pop one of those stems into my mouth and blah. Yeah, take a look at that. Perfect knot. If you know, you know. Let's do a quick little halving on those cherries. Perfect. Now, we drained the cherry juice into this pan so that we can pop it onto the stove on low heat and add a little bit of cornstarch. I'm gonna make a little jelly kind of sauce thing here that we can drizzle on top. So, let that come up to temp for about 5 minutes and whisk on low until it's nice and thick. When the time comes later to add that on top, we're gonna get a little bit of warm water in there to make sure it's the right consistency too, because it will firm up in the meantime. Okay, I think we're ready to move on. Did I forget about something? Nah, just kidding. Time to throw on an absurd amount of chocolate chips onto our graham cracker crust. Alright, that's looking good. And see, I did not forget the chocolate. And now I'm going to bend the rules slightly for the sake of a construction and decoration. Because see, here's the thing. You need to add sweetened condensed milk here, but if you throw it on top of all that cherry and that stuff, this might just end up looking a little bit of a mess. So I'm adding the sweetened condensed milk first. Oh boy. And let me tell you, you know what most magic bars call for that this specific recipe does not? That's right, shaved coconut. I am so not putting it in. Coconut is gross. This is the greatest recipe I've ever been given because it explicitly excludes coconut. This is incredible. Alright, bring it back down to earth. The 14-ounce can was maybe a little bit thin for the 9x13 pan, so maybe you'd want to go up to like 24 ounces or so if you can. Anyway, let's not add coconut and instead toss on our halved cherries. And now we're ready for the oven. Here's a little golden rule for you. When in doubt, just use the first temperature that your oven gives you when you start it. Most of the time it's going to be right at 350, and most of the time that's exactly what you need. So why not? For this specific thing, time is a little bit tough to gauge. You basically want to watch it and wait until the sweetened condensed milk starts getting a little bit brown and toasty on the sides. It's probably about 20 to 25 minutes, but you probably do want to keep checking. This is the right zone for your finished product. And ain't that looking holly jolly or whatever?
If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be cooked with his own turkey and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
Well,
Michael, who let you in here? I'm recording. Go back to your chamber. Cool, that won't get me in trouble with Disney. Alright, we're in the home stretch, but we're not quite done yet. While this is cooling, let's get some warm water into a bowl of some sort and lay down a chocolate bar in there. Damp it down with something heavy that's not going to float so it can get nice and melty. Once that doesn't work, we'll put it in another bowl without the wrapper and warm it up in the microwave for a few minutes, because that is actually going to work. Now, back to our magic bars, we are going to drizzle that cherry sauce and that dark chocolate sauce into a luxurious pattern on top. Let it cool once more in the fridge and we are ready to chop and serve, which I will do later as I plan to bring this little mystery to a holiday potluck. Okay, so full disclosure, we got sick so we didn't go to the potluck, but I do want to relay to all of you, these are good. The only thing that I'd say is the flavor of the graham cracker crust is maybe just a little bit overpowering. So maybe don't add the spices or just do the shortbread crust from my Gelt Magic Bars recipe. That'll play a lot better and let the chocolate and cherry really be the star of the show. Well, that's all we wrote, so happy holidays, enjoy the magic of the dark and mysterious wintry nights, unless you're in a part of the world where it's hot and you don't get winter or snow, and make some good food and share it if you can. See you next time. I've waited long enough to watch the Muppet Christmas Carol, but if I start it now, Michael is not going to let me hear the end of it. He still knows all the lines and he won't stop singing.